Oh no, bro. Forget the video. Pretend like it's not even there. It started?
Yeah.
Okay, good. ברוך השם. אני מקשר עצמי לכל הצדיקים האמיתיים שלנו, לכל הצדיקים האמיתיים שוכני עפר. קדוש שם השם בארץ עם המצוות רבנו הקדוש צדיק יסוד עולם נחמן נובע מכוח חוכמה. רבנו נחמן מפלג בן שמחה נח נחמן נחמן מרומן תחתות הגן עלינו ועל כל ישראל אמן. I'm also going to record it on the... See, bro, honestly, the video is just there. That way I can just get it to as many people who want to hear the debugging weapon.
Yeah.
The casualness of the conversation, who cares?
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be, it's supposed to be unfiltered. That's the beauty of the tzaddik, in that Rabbi Israel, the Baal Pete, Rabbi Israel Dovadesa, Saba, he said the main thing is En Dorim and Tanim Kulanu Chagarim. There's no big, there's no small. With Rabbi Nachman, there's the Rebbe and there's the Talmidim. But the Talmidim have to have this relationship in which there's no big, there's no small, we're all friends. Chagarim. This is like the same tefillah that Rabbi Levi Tzalkom Berditchev was always praying on Motzei Shabbat and Havdalah. He had this tefillah of Avat Chaverim.
Yeah.
He puts the inyan of Avat Chaverim at the Motzei Shabbat Havdalah because it's important inyan, you know? Kablim den min den, Rabbi Nachman speaks about in lesson 34. One person needs to receive from the next. So if it's only me discussing, I'm losing. Because I need to receive from you, I need to receive from you.
Yeah.
And from everybody else. Right. So everybody, you know, it needs to be casual, back and forth. And that's where it goes deep into the Torah of Rabbi Nachman. Funny enough, perfect leeway into Chanukah. Because Rabbi Nachman told a story on the first night of Chanukah. I'm not going to talk about it tonight. We'll probably do that next week during Chanukah. Because I want to do Likut Halachot. But Rabbi Nachman gave a beautiful story. In Chaya Moran, this story is told in Rabbi Nachman's biography that Rabbi Nathan wrote. Rabbi Nathan writes the story that Rabbi Nachman told on the first night of Chanukah. Which year was it? Let me tell you right now. 5569. Rabbi Nachman passed away in 5571. So this was the second to last Chanukah he ever spent. So, Rabbi Nachman, on the first night of Chanukah, after lighting the candle on the first night, he told a story. And this story speaks about a person who's in his house, and a guest comes to the house. And when the guest comes to the house, the man is very, blown away by the mysteries surrounding this man, this guest. Mm-hmm. The guest essentially becomes the balabait, and the balabait becomes the guest. It's an entire story of inversion, and how Rabbi Nachman is teaching us that tzaddik is coming on the first night of Chanukah. The tzaddik is going to come to the house of every individual, and then he's going to become the balabait. It's brought down in the Zohar Kadosh. Bereshit, Tikkun Zohar, it brings down Bereshit Rosh Bait. Rosh Bait. Rabbi Nachman teaches this in lesson 67 of volume 2 of Likutei Moharan. That the Rosh Bait, the head of the house of the entire world, is the tzaddik, the true tzaddik. And the true tzaddik, when you light the Chanukah, you light the menorah, he comes into the house of each and every individual, and he's going to come and to repair whatever he needs to do to come do whatever reparation he needs to do. But in this story, you see here, look what it says here, and I think it was pretty applicable to what we were talking about earlier. The man asks, the guest, the initial guest who comes into the house, asks the balabait. He says, "What do you learn? What are your limudim? What are you studying? What Torah?" And the host answered him. He said like this: "Ma ata lomed?" The man responded, "What he learned." Rabbi Nachman didn't mention what he learned, obviously because it's not the kavanah of the story. They were conversing one another until they got into sichat dvarim, a conversation of words that were coming out from their hearts. The conversation was mamash from heart to heart. Rabbi Nachman is saying that's the kavanah. More important than the limud is how the limud goes into the sichat chaverim.
Yeah.
That's the tachlit. Meaning the limud of what you're trying to study is only to get you to go to heart with your friend. Because that's where the Torah is applied. The Torah is applied where you feel it needs to be applied. Where the problems you're going through, whatever is affecting you at that moment, you know? That's where the Torah needs to go. So, Ma'at Alomed is one level. But Sichat Dvarim, Hayotzim Min Halev, the conversation that comes out from your heart, that's the highest level. And that's what Rabbi Nachman is saying is the kavanah. For especially when you study Torah. That when you study Torah with all the same intention in mind, with the same goal, that you're trying to improve and trying to go from level to level and trying to be better people, This is the main thing. He's trying to get in?
Yeah, I texted him.
Okay, good. But I'll save that, God willing, whenever we continue and do Sichat Chaverim next week. And I'll try to bring a few copies, that way we can all read from it. But I want to do Halacha Bet of Likutei Halachot. Api HaMa'amar Ra'iti Menorah Zahav v'chulei. It's going to speak about the menorah and about the Chanukah. Rabbi Nachman's going to talk about it. Hey.
Ruben.
Hey, David.
Ça va?
C'est good?
C'est toi, tu vas?
Ouais, c'est moi.
T'es moché?
Ouais.
Ok, nice.
Viens, assis-toi là, où tu veux. Il y a le caméra et avec plaisir. C'est très casual.
Tu vas venir, Harry aussi, tu sais?
Je crois, mais dans 10 minutes presque.
Ok.
Je sais pas encore. Bezrat Hashem. But I was just telling them, we're going to do it in English if it's cool, Ruben?
Yeah.
I was just telling them that we're going to do Likutei Halachot on Chanukah.
Okay.
So, Likutei Halachot Halacha Bet of Chanukah. Rabbi Nachman in this lesson discusses the idea of the menorah. He mentions the concept of the menorah in the first verse and he throws it away until the end and he brings it back. He throws it aside and he brings it back. Ra'iti menorat zahav kula v'gula al-rosha. I saw a menorah that was entirely gold and a bowl on top of its head. Eli, good to see you, Achi. Grab a seat, bro. So we're going to do this Likutei Halachot on lesson 8 of Likutei Moran, how he connects it to Chanukah. So, Halacha Bet. Api HaMa'amar Ra'iti Menorah Zahav. You want to read?
Where is this?
Cool. Ve'aklal.
No, go ahead.
Sure?
I'll read it on first, yeah.
Okay. Ve'aklal. The main idea is, sorry I didn't bring enough copies, guys. On Safari they have it also, if you guys want to even pull it up, you guys. Simcha. Gil, you wanna show them?
Yeah.
So, Likutei Halachot, go to Hilchot Chanukah and Orach Chaim. You'll find it over there. I'll get started while you guys are finding it. The main thing is this, Rabbi Nachman says, והכלל, שעל ידי אריכות הרוח, דהיינו גנוחה, על ידי זה ממשיכים רוח חיים להחסכון. Rabbi Nachman says, he gives us a principle. Rabbi Nachman's introducing the lesson right now on Chanukah with the principles of lesson 8. So now we can understand the bullet points of lesson 8 to understand how it falls into Chanukah. Rabbi Nachman teaches us, when a Jew sighs, it's the most precious thing. For when a Jew sighs, he completes that which is lacking. Very interesting concept.
Likutei Moran, which chapter?
So go to Likutei Halachot. Go to Likutei Halachot. Yeah.
Then you said Orach.
Here, let me show you. Orach Chaim. Go to down. The laws of Chanukah. The Chanukah festival. Number 2. There we go. That the main thing is what? That through the arichut haruach, when a person takes in a long ruach, a long spirit, a long breath, which is what we would call a sigh, because to sigh, you first take in a long breath and then you exhale. It's an exhale that's very long. But that exhale that's very long requires a very long breath. Arichut haruach, you're actually taking in a tremendous amount of a ruach spirit. And Rabbi Nachman says, through that, you draw a ruach chaim, a spirit of life, to that which you're lacking. So now let's go deep into the subject. When a person sighs, why do you sigh? Rabbi Nachman explains the person sighs because he's lacking something. He's missing something deep within it. For example, you're not going to sigh when everything is perfect because the sigh actually stems from a place of lack. Of chisavon. For example, I sigh when I'm sick. Why? Because I'm not healthy. I don't feel good. I sigh when I'm hungry. Why? Because I don't have food in my body. I'm missing something. I'm missing nutrients. I'm sighing because of this or that or whatever the example is. The sigh represents a chisavon, a lack. But Rabbi Nachman says, the sigh, when you sigh, it's the vehicle to complete what you're lacking.
What sighing?
Sighing is like the, how do you say it? Soupir.
Okay.
It's like a...
Yes, it's very important for Rabbi
Oh,
Nachman.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like,
yeah.
Rabbi Nachman, huge kavanah of Rabbeinu's Torah is to sigh. That's why you see a lot of breastlovers when they pray, especially when you go to Uman, you hear like, oh, like this all the time. It's like...
So it's okay to force it?
So it has to come from a place of a kavanah. It's okay to do it on your own volition, to do it on your will, but with the kavanah that you're trying to complete that what you're lacking. It says in the Gemara, "Anacha shoveret gufo shel adam." The sigh breaks the body of a person. It says in the Gemara. Rabbi Nachman says he tried this when he was a kid, and he did it really truthfully, and he couldn't move. Literally couldn't move because it really has the sigh has the power to either break you or complete you. So Rabbi Nachman teaches us, if you're lacking something holy, The sai enables you to accomplish that which you want. For example, I want to wake up chatzot, right? I want to wake up at 1 a.m. and do tikkun chatzot, do itbodedut. But I can't seem to go to bed early to actually accomplish the schedule, you know? So Rabbi Nachman says, what are you going to do? Sai. Oh, Hashem, help me wake up chatzot. When you do Bonei Yerushalayim, you want to build Yerushalayim? How? By waking up chatzot. So Hashem, when you're saying in between Baruch Atah Hashem Bonei Yerushalayim in the Amidah, you do a tefillah of your own. Hashem, and by the way, totally fine. You can totally pray to Hashem in Bach as long as it's in the subject of the actual paragraph in the Amidah. You can do your own tefillah in the bracha. Shulchan Aruch, by the way.
Wow.
There's no.
Every single bracha you can be like.
You could say, when in the middle of your refuah, right? You can do Hashem Yitbarach. I know this sick person this way. It means not to go off. What's it called? Don't go off topic exactly, but be part of the subject. You know, enter the subject and go. That's all Hashem wants. He wants us to converse with Him. He wants us to do this Hitbodedut with Him. He's dying for us to speak to Him. That's why it says in the Gemara Brachot, very important that you make your tefillah. What do you call it? You're always being mitchadesh in your tefillah. You're always making your tefillah new. And that's how you ensure it's new. So connect the bracha of the tefillah that you want. For example, you want to do chokhmah bin adat. Hashem, help open up the gates of wisdom and Torah and tefillah so that I can actually pray to you. I can actually study properly. I can actually understand what Rabbi Nachman is trying to tell me. I can understand what the Gemara is trying to teach me. What Rabbi Yosef Karon in Shulchan Aruch is trying to tell me. You see what I'm saying? All this stuff it's a yibodedut that it's begging for us to start engaging in. Rabbi Nachman says though, when you sigh, you complete the lack. So, this is the danger. Either you take the left route, which God forbid a person sometimes is lacking a lot in gashmiut and things that aren't in kedusha, in holiness. For example, a lot of the time the person wants to fill a certain desire that isn't good. To get angry. Sometimes the person can't express his anger though. So what's he going to do? He's going to be like, that sigh. That sigh, actually, you're going to get a ruach chayim, a spirit of life, from the rav of the klipa, of the opposite side, that's going to help you complete that anger. The power of the sigh, the arichut ruach, Rabbi Nachman is saying, is completing that which you're lacking. So imagine, the way to get to complete that which you lack is through the sigh. But if you sigh from a place of impurity, meaning that you're sighing because you're annoyed by something, or you want to do something that you can't do, that's not okay, according to the Torah, imagine you're allowing yourself to be filled with a ruach shtu, the spirit of foolishness, which Rabbi Nachman is going to explain comes from the Rav of Esav. Why? How do you know this? We just read a couple weeks ago. Or forget when? Literally this past week. What did Esav say when he meets Yaakov after years when Yaakov spent at Lavan? Yesh li Rav. I have a Rav. People translate it as Yesh li Rav. I have a lot. I have a lot, everything. But Rabbi Nachman says Yesh li Rav. Esav had a Rav. And who's the Rav? The Rav of the Klipa. He looks like this. He looks like Beard Peyot. Rabbi Nachman says, be careful. There's lots of Rabbanim who are sheker. So there's the Rav of Kedusha and there's the Rav of the Klipa. There's the Rav of the evil force. Rabbi Nachman says, either you're going to draw your Ruach Chayim, your spirit of life, from the Rav Tzaddik of the generation, the great Tzaddik, or you're going to draw him from the Tzaddik of the Klipa. Chad v'shalom. He's not a Tzaddik, he's a Rav of the Klipa. So Rabbi Nachman says like this, why? For all the Ruach comes from one source, and that's the Tzaddik, the Rav Shebador. How did he prove that? I'll give it to you over here, what he says. What Rabbi Nachman teaches us over here. שעיקר הרוח חיים מקבלים מהצדיק והרב שבדור. The essential ruach chayim, the spirit of life, which you get in, which comes through the sigh, because you see, when you take in that first breath and then you release the sigh, that first breath which you're taking in is going to allow you to complete the act which you're sighing over. So Rabbi Nachman said, but where do you get that spirit of life force? From the Rav, the Tzaddik Shebador. Hikar ruach chayim hu ba'Torah, because the main essence of the ruach chayim is in the Torah. As we know, as it says, ve'ruach Elokim merchevet al penei hamayim hu ha'Torah. As it says in the Zohar Kadosh, and one of the first verses of Sefer Bereshit, the first parasha, ve'ruach Elokim merchevet al penei hamayim. The spirit of Elokim, of Hashem, was hovering above the water. What's the spirit of Hashem hovering above the water? What's that spirit? The Torah. That's what the Zohar says. So the Zohar also says Rucho shel Mashiach, the spirit of Mashiach, the Tzaddik. So there's a connection. There's what the Zohar says is Torah is hovering above the water. That's the Torah. והצדיקים דבקים בתורה. And the tzaddikim are attached to the Torah. And this is why the Ruach Chaim exists by the tzaddikim. For they know the Torah in its depth. They really know the Torah, the tzaddikim. Moshe Rabbeinu receives the Torah. Zichru Torah Moshe. Remember the Torah of Moshe. Moshe's Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu Torah. Meaning the tzaddik hador is the Torah. In fact, what Rabbi Nachman teaches us something even deeper. The tzaddik is above the Torah. How do you know this? Go to the Gemara Makot. The Gemara Makot teaches us that it says, Kama tipshai benenasha shemekamin lifnei sefer Torah. How stupid are people that they get up before sefer Torah, but they don't get up before Tzubah de Rabbanan, I think, or I forget the language, but before the Talmid Chacham, before the rabbis. Rabbi Nachman explains, if the Gemara is saying, how stupid are people that they get up before the Torah, but not before this, it's coming to show us that it's a kal vachomer. It's an all the more so. Meaning what? If you're not getting up before the Torah, it's obvious you should get up before the tzaddik. Because the tzaddik brings you the Torah. You can study the Gemara, but you won't understand the Gemara until you get to the tzaddik, who's going to come to explain to you what it means. You see what I'm saying? Like, imagine trying to study a Gemara without Rashi. It's like, impossible. And especially when you get to the secret of the Torah, when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and the Ari HaKadosh and the Baal Shem Tov are going to come to explain the Torah, Rabbi Nachman and all these great tzaddikim that are going to come teach us. So of course, the tzaddik is at a higher level in Torah. It's more necessary. For he brings you the Torah to your level. So that's what Rabbi Nachman is saying. Your Ruach Chaim is drawing from the tzaddik, but there's opposites. Zeh leumat zeh. There's the right and there's the left. And by the way, feel free to cut me off. Anyone has an idea, it's casual. So there's the right and the left, and that's the main thing that we have to understand. Where are we going to draw our ruach from? If you're breathing in a breath to release a sigh, know that the breath that you're taking in, the ruach chaim you're taking in, is going to make you, it's going to help you accomplish that which you want, but either k'tusha or tumah. That's why you have to be careful that we don't sigh when it comes to impure things. When God forbid you want to feel a chas v'shalom, a bad tava, we have to make sure to avoid the sighing at all, that we don't get angry to the point where we say, for that reason.
But isn't that usually what people usually sigh when they're overwhelmed with something?
You're right, but make it the kavanah, that the kavanah is that you want to be you're overwhelmed in work, but you want to be studying Torah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Meaning that the overwhelming should be transformed into the right direction. Sometimes you get so upset at work, you're just like, wow, what a day. You're like, oh. Yeah. The kavanah should be Hashem Yitbarach. Help me break. Help me have a bigger vessel so that I don't need to work as much so I can study more Torah. You see what I'm saying? The sign should be in the right direction.
The thing that you're adding to it, nachon, but the actual kavanah is stemming from
the overwhelming. That's fine. But where do you want to go with it? What's your kavanah of the sign? The real kavanah of the sign.
Yeah, but for example, somebody's, let's say, davening to Hashem every day, and then one day he goes, Hashem's not answering my prayers. So what does he do with that? How does he turn that good? It's not like he's going to make Hashem answering his prayers.
No, you can't. Because through the sigh, what you're essentially telling Hashem Yitbarach is you're saying, Hashem, I want to see you. I want the answer. Just show me that you're here. Show me. Rabbi Nachman said, if we knew every single word that came out of his Bodedut, that Hashem was taking each one and listening to each word, he said it would be certain that a person would pray with his full force kavanah. The problem is, the reason why we don't put our kavanah, a real force and a real intention in tefillah, is because of what? Because we don't really believe Hashem is listening to each and every one of our words. If we did, we would literally put all our force. So when we're saying that we get frustrated sometimes in our tefillah because we feel unanswered, transform it into a way of Hashem Yitbarach. Don't make it a way of depression, which Rabbi Nachman said, or which would say is like this anger. Like when you get angry at God. Rabbi Nachman would say, transform it into a brokenheartedness. Hashem Yitbarach, I long to be close to you. Rather than saying, Hashem Yitbarach, look what you're doing to me. Like there's a way to do everything.
Yeah.
But of course, when the kavanah is there, that's the most important thing, where your kavanah is. So your ruach chaim, and of course, when it's black and white, we're talking about like ta'avot versus k'tusha.
Yeah.
Like trying to wake up chatzot versus trying to fill desire, God forbid, a woman. Chaz v'shalom. Like imagine where the ruach chaim is being drawn from. One is literally from Esav, the chav of Esav, and one is literally from the tzaddik Agol. It's like how crazy, how much koach the ruach chaim has, the spirit of life.
What about a sigh of relief? Somebody accomplished something, and or like sometimes like on Shabbat you're done eating, you do bokat or whatever, you go down and go
That's fine.
But is it what kind of wachaim are you drawing to there? You're not. It's not like you're longing anything. It's the opposite.
It's not a negative. It's not a negative sign, which is a place you're trying to fill a desire somewhere. It's not a sigh against the Torah.
Nachon, but it's not. You're saying even if let's say you're sighing for something, Hashem, I'm longing you. You're sighing.
When you sigh like that, when you long for Hashem,
Nachon.
Hashem is literally coming into you and telling you, "Here, I'm going to help you."
So what wach do you draw when you're not longing anything, good or bad?
Neutral? Yeah, it's a neutral wach.
No,
I guess it doesn't affect you.
of satisfaction. Let's say. Oh, Baruch Hashem, it's Shabbat.
Baruch Hashem, it's Shabbat is a good kavanah.
I know, but you're not. Maybe I'm getting the concept, but you're not asking for anything good.
No, you don't need to a lot of the time. You don't need to. By the way, that sigh, what you're saying, Baruch Hashem, it's Shabbat, could give you more of a ruach to help you have more of that. Meaning more nachat ruach on Shabbat, more simcha on Shabbat.
Yeah.
You know, there's always you're going to see a clear direction with the sigh. It's never neutral. A lot of the time the sigh is like, oh, shalva, have peace. But what is the peace for? Are you sitting down on your butt, lazy in bed, doing nothing all day? Or is your peace, Hashem, thank you, I have 2 minutes so I can say a bracha on my food. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's always a direction with the sigh. Sometimes it's more leans in the middle, or sometimes it's...
said in, I think this past week's parsha, or this week's parsha, that I think Yaakov just told Hashem, like, I want to just relax.
Yeah, Shalva, he wanted peace. And Hashem said, no, not for you.
Yeah.
Rabbi Nachman has a beautiful lesson on that, by the way, also. Very, very nice. How Yaakov, and I'll just touch on it because it shows you how the Torah of Rabbi Nachman Mamash touches each and every nekuda. How Yaakov, he was responsible for doing gerim, converts. He was constantly bringing people in tshuva and making converts, just like his father. Vayeshev Yaakov be'eret megurei aviv be'eret Canaan. It's funny, we're just reading the Sichot Aran, it's crazy how it all ties together. It says Yaakov dwelled in the land of his father's journeys, in the land of Canaan, right? Yitzchak's. Why did it say that? Megurei aviv. Why megurei aviv? Because megurei is from the word gerim, converts. Just like his father was making converts, he too was doing the same thing. Rabbi Nachman says the reason why Yaakov is making converts and why he cannot receive peace when he asks for it from Hashem is because Rabbi Nachman says it's a chesed from Hashem when a person who makes converts and does Baalei Tshuva has a lot of problems on it. The person who's trying to bring people back to Tshuva, a lot of the time will be overcome with a lot of difficulty. Why? Because Rabbi Nachman says, we know the principle that gerim will not be accepted in the time of the Mashiach. We're not going to accept converts when the Mashiach comes. Why?
It's really obvious.
Because it's going to be so obvious. It's not going to be done L'Shem Shamayim. It's not going to be done with your own will. You're going to be seeing the truth, so there's no choice anymore.
It's the same for Teshuvah.
Teshuvah, exactly. So that's what Rabbi Nachman
does. That's why we need to do Teshuvah right now and not when
exactly.
the Mashiach.
Exactly, because the Teshuvah is going to be right in front of your face. Now, Rabbi Nathan said there's a period before where there's a free will still. Because Mashiach's not going to outright take away your koach bechira, but like Ruben is saying, there's this idea that teshuvah, by the way, and this gerut, this conversion, has the same connection. So Rabbi Nachman says, why didn't Yaakov have peace, and why didn't Hashem allow him to have peace? Because he was responsible for making gerim and doing tshuva, helping people do tshuva. And if a person were to do teshuvah, or if a person were to convert because he saw how rich Yaakov was or how much peace Yaakov had, it wouldn't be the Shem Shemayim. So Hashem wants people to come close to Him because it's difficult to be a Jew. Why did it say? What did it say when true? What did it say in the Gemara? True gerim are people who convert in the time when it's a tzara for the Jewish people.
Even now, converts, the rabbis push them away.
Exactly. When it's difficult and when they're pushing you away, that's when it's a Shem Shemayim, and that's when a true conversion occurs. So Rabbi Nachman is saying that the true conversion, imagine a person converts now, right now. You know the Shem Shamayim you have to do when the entire world's against the Jewish people right now. That's the Shem Shamayim, because the time is tough for us. So Rabbi Nachman said the tzaddik, or the person who's engaged in doing gerim and Baalei Tshuva, he's going through difficulty. Why? Because he needs to do this process of Baalei Tshuva or gerim, the Shem Shamayim. It needs to be done for the sake of heaven. So nice inyan, how everything is all tied together. But going back to this idea, Rabbi Nachman says, "Ve'ish chacham yachaprena." The wise man will atone for sin. When the tzaddik hador will come and he will fill you with his ruach, that what do you call it? That ruach is going to help you atone for your sins. Because what you're lacking stems from sin itself. Why do we lack? Because we have avonot, we have sins. And it says, the Chachamim say in the Shabbat, there's no death without sin. There's no affliction without transgression. You do not suffer if you the only reason why you suffer is because you have sins under you. Sins under your belt. Therefore, we see now that tzaddik has the ability to atone for sin. This awesome ability to atone for averot.
For others, you're saying?
Yeah. Many different ways, by the way. It's
After
not just
too.
what?
After passing too.
Oh, even more.
Even more. That's what I thought.
Yeah, even more because he's not bound by the physical body anymore. The tzaddik, when he passes away, becomes infinitely bigger than what he was during his lifetime. Infinite. He's searching the treasury of the king constantly. There's no stop. There's no end.
Does he only do it to the people who were attached to his specific Torah, or does he just have like no?
I'll tell you what I heard once. Maybe it could. Let's just say he does it for the entire generation, regardless. But the busha for a person who opposes him, the embarrassment a person is going to receive when he opposes tzaddik and he realizes
That he's defending him.
that he's defending him, that's going to be the gain up for him.
Okay.
See how bad it's going to be? Like, for a person who opposes the tzaddik his entire life, and then realizes after 120 years that the tzaddik is the one doing his entire tikkun, is going to feel such a gain by the embarrassment. That's what Rabbi Nathan says. He says, imagine what these mitnagdim, these opposers are going to feel when they get up there and they see that the tzaddik I met is mamash doing their tikkun. He said they're going to feel so embarrassed, that's going to be their gain. So imagine what we're talking about here. By the way, he does it for everyone. Rabbi Nachman says though that a lot of the time, if he sees a person is not sincere and stuff, he doesn't have to engage with him. Rabbi Nachman says in Likutei Halachot, the tzaddik is not obliged to help someone who does not want to help himself. Meaning who doesn't actually desire to be a good person, who doesn't actually desire to be a Jew. If you don't desire it deep down, he doesn't have the obligation. Doesn't have an obligation.
Otherwise, there is an obligation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it's a person who really sincerely desires to become a Jew. Of course, the tzaddik is the one. He's the one running the business. He's the one doing all the work. You know.
When you say tzaddik, you say any gedolei hador, or are you talking about specific list of tzaddikim?
Very specific. Very specific. Yeah. It treads along the category of the five tzaddikim.
Yeah.
That are the neshama Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Ari HaKadosh, exactly, Baal Shem Tov, and Rabbi Nachman. And then the Mashiach is going to be the final completed part. But there's other people that could do great tikkunim, of course. But I'm saying at the degree of all 600,000 souls that are responsible for the generation, that's only 5. I'm saying the Orach Chaim could repair a soul, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I see.
You know what I mean? What do you call it? Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, repair souls, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. They all had a tremendous koach, these great tzaddikim. You know?
Yeah.
So, continue, we literally just did 2 lines, my bad. עיקר הרוח חיים מקבלים מן הצדיק הרב שבדו, כי הוא איש אשר רוח בו. What did it say about Yosef HaTzadik? איש אשר רוח בו. He's the man that had spirit within him. ואיש אלוקים אשר רוח בו. He had the spirit of Hashem within him. Paro saw this. That's why he saw, אין חכם בן אדם כמוך. There's no wise man or brilliant man like you. He saw Yosef, that he had the spirit of Hashem within him. איש אשר רוח אלוקים בו. So Rabbi Nachman said that tzaddik and the Rav Shebador, he has all the ruach within him. He has the ruach of Hashem, and therefore he's responsible for distributing it to all the individuals who sigh, who receive that ruach. Because when you sigh, you're taking in a double amount of ruach. And by the way, the breath is life. The breath is your life. Your breath, your sigh is your life. So what did it say? Vayipach be'apav nishmat chayim. Hashem breathed into Adam HaRishon and nishmat chayim, a neshama of life. Vayipach be'apav, though, he's breathed into his nostrils. Meaning the ruach chayim, your life, comes from your breath. That's why a person who has short breath indicates where he is spiritually. It's unique stuff.
Does that also say that neshama leaves from your nostrils?
Ooh, it's very possible. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah,
I think, or maybe it's somewhere in the
It's very interesting.
Somewhere in the parasha, I think Noah's sons or something. One of them died or something, and
It left through the nostril, you're saying?
something like that. No.
Wow.
No, no. Maybe I'm
because
confusing
it goes
it.
in through the nostril, so maybe it goes out through the same place.
Maybe I'm confused. Maybe I'm confusing. Maybe it's. But I remember something along in the parashot of somebody dying and the ruach leaves or the neshama leaves from the nostrils.
It's very possible. Very possible. Nostril is like the nose.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So where is he? And from the Rav and the Tzaddik Shabbat, look at the principle here. Rabbi Nathan setting us up with. Life gets distributed to each and every individual from him. From him. He has all the life by him. The Chayim. To all those who are attached to him. So it goes back to what you're saying, though. Those who are really attached to him receive an extra amount of ruach.
For both sides, I assume.
Huh?
For both sides,
Yeah.
I assume.
Especially in the side of Tumah, they receive a tremendous amount of koach. That's why there's so many wicked people that have so much strength in their time, and when the wicked prosper, they prosper big time. And why is that? Because Rabbi Nachman says it's a ruach se'ara. It's a wind. It's this huge hurricane, and you can't stop the hurricane when you're in the hurricane. You can't do anything about it. You accept it and you wait till it calms down. Rabbi Nachman says that they have a sha'av hatzlacha. They have a time of success. These wicked people. In their time of success, you can't touch them. After that, they dwindle and they get completely nullified. Their time of success is right now. The second Mashiach comes, it's going to be completely nullified forever. It's small, but it seems like an eternity that they've been doing this thousands of years, but it's not like that. It's a snap of a finger, like the blink of an eye. There are Reshaim who are not attached to the tzaddik. There are wicked people who are not attached to the tzaddik. They receive the arichat haruach from the Rav of the Klipa. Rabbi Nachman says something important though. You want to provoke the Reshaim? You want to fight the wicked people? You want to go into the hurricane and fight them? Rabbi Nachman says nobody can do that unless you're tzaddik gamur. Complete tzaddik. Meaning what? Dainu sheifrish hara min hatov. He completely separated evil from good. Today the problem is everybody's confused. Where's the good? Where's the evil? Where's the truth? Where's the falsehood? The tzaddik gamur has complete separation. He sees it like black and white. Meaning he knows what's tameh, he knows what's tao, and he does only what's good. Rabbi Nachman goes further. Look at what it means to be a tzaddik gamur. Before he gets there, Rabbi Nathan skips it because it's a tired idea here. But tzaddik gamur is a person who's not even afraid of committing a sin. Meaning, even if he's in a place where the sin is accessible and nobody's there, or it's very easy and he's in a test, he's not even afraid that he's going to even commit it. Meaning, it doesn't even cross his mind. There's a level
Test. What do you mean?
It's not even a test for him at that level. It's like Yosef HaTzadik. We think Yosef HaTzadik, when he's with the wife of Potiphar, that it was a physical test. Rabbi Nachman says, shtuyot, if you think that. It wasn't a physical test at all. It says Yosef HaTzadik had already broken his Yetzirah. His test was a test of dinim, of judgments. He saw the judgments come down from Shemayim, and he needed to understand how to sweeten it.
So why even test him with something like that then?
What?
If you're saying, if let's say they're looking down on him and they say, okay, he broke past his Eitzah, nothing physical is going to affect him. So why send him a physical test?
It's no longer physical anymore. It comes through a physical manifestation.
So then what was the test then? If it wasn't physical, then what was it?
It's like the same test as David and Bathsheba. Do we understand the misstep of David is not even a sin, because it says in the Gemara Shabbat. Anyway,
What's that also?
David and Bathsheba.
He didn't add the gate, something like that.
Exactly, with Uriah Chiti, that basically doesn't. Look, the Gemara Shabbat says according to Halacha, he was totally fine.
Yeah.
there was no sin on David HaMelech's end. There was no sin. It says anyone who says David HaMelech sin, eno ela toer, he's mistaken. You're the one sinning if you think David sins. But Rabbi Nachman, the Zohar HaKadosh says there was a blemish in the mixture of Gvurot and Chasadim. chesed and gvura, judgment and kindness. The tzaddikim, they have to separate the two.
Wasn't it? I think it was with you. You were saying if somebody takes the laws of the Torah and they use it for the wrong thing.
Yeah, but that wasn't even David HaMelech, because according to halacha, it's totally fine. Totally fine.
Nachon, but we also a while ago we talked about, for example, like you're like in a courtroom or something, and the judge goes in favor of this guy, but all the laws say, for example, he doesn't have to pay him, but because of the way he went through the laws, he really messed him up.
Of course, you can use it towards your own direction. If you want to do something bad for it, of course you can do it in that way. There's
meaning using the halachot for like loopholes.
Yes. And you're 100% right that there is a concept like that. 100%. There's the tzaddikim yanchuvam u'foshim mikashluvam. The tzaddikim will use the Torah to the emet, and the reshaim will going to use to the Torah for their tumah. Okay. They're going to use sources in the Torah to prove their concepts. I mean, says you'll see Rabbanim get up and give classes. Their Torah is complete sheker, but they're using sources in Bereshit and Gemara Shabbat and this, that. Can't tell the difference because you don't know.
Yeah.
Because we have a difficult time separating the evil from the good. Tzaddik Burim, they smell that in a second. They know that immediately. But what you're talking about at David HaMelech's level is much higher. It's not even that at all. David HaMelech saw that she was his Batzug. Like literally from the time of creation. So imagine what David HaMelech is going through. He knows that. He's doing everything according to Halakha. The misstep according to the Zohar, a mixture of Gvurot and Chasadim. What does that even mean? I don't even know what the word Gvura and Chasadim literally translates to. I have a problem translating every single class. It's like Chasadim, okay, benevolences and Gvura, judgments. What does that even mean? Sometimes Hashem sends a certain deen from Shemayim that you have to sweeten. And that's a test. For Yosef HaTzadik, that was the test. Rabbi Nachman says. When it says Shlomo took many wives, Rabbi Nachman says, don't think for 1 second Shlomo had a tavat, a physical plane. These people were above the desire, sexual desire. They had nothing. They completely removed every desire of their body. So when we're talking about that they did this...
So why did they have so many wives?
To create chasadim, to sweeten judgments.
What do you mean by that?
Sweeten judgments. It's like there's so many dinim in the world, doing a certain action or a certain thing, going into the klipa to retrieve kedusha.
So what did they do by marrying a bunch of women then?
Huh?
What sweetening of judgment did they do by marrying a bunch of women?
I mean, look, woman in itself represents judgment.
Okay, but why do you have to marry them?
It's like, why did Yaakov marry 4 people? 4 women.
Yeah, but that's also a little like of a confusing story, like maidservant and this and that.
But of course,
you're talking about 100 different people. That's like everybody that walks into the door. You're like, okay.
No, it's not like that at all. It was very pinpoint and precise, very precise. Why there's concubines for the king? All this stuff. What is this? What does all this mean? There are nitzotzot that are hidden in certain people that need to be retrieved, and only the king at that level, who's at the level. By the way, all the kings were. I'm talking about the OG kings, Shlomo HaMelech, David HaMelech, Shaul. These people were rid of sin. When they were doing something, they were mamash completely removed from Avera. So everything they're doing is Hashem Shamayim.
How do we know that?
Okay, I'll give you a proof. 1. Shaul HaMelech. It says about Shaul HaMelech, the Arizal brings down that Shaul HaMelech died without sin. Died without sin. It says in the Gemara that Hashem Yitbarach comes, I believe it's in Gemara Moed Katan. Hashem Yitbarach comes to David HaMelech and tells David HaMelech, he says, you think you're coming to escape to me and use me as refuge? Even if you did 1,000 things like this, you wouldn't even compare to Shaul. Tells that to David HaMelech.
Hashem says this to David?
Yeah, to David. He says, Shaul is more righteous than you. Literally, black and white, Gemara Moed Katan. Shaul HaMelech was a tzaddik. He died without sin. Now, what happened with him and David is an entire thing. Nobody understands how it all played out if he was such a big tzaddik. But all these tzaddikim were completely removed. Rabbi Nachman says meforash. David HaMelech, Shlomo HaMelech, he brings those examples. Yosef HaTzadik, their test wasn't at a physical plane. It's like way beyond them. What happened is a lot of the time, you want to...
I just had a question.
Yeah, go.
Were they going through their lives? Were they at a level where they were going through their lives and knowing that they had to sweeten judgments.
Of course,
certain actions.
they knew that consciously.
So even
But
like
then
the
how did
purpose
they-
for marriage in certain cases
course.
was not even, it was above the actual.
Of course, it was above all that stuff.
How did they get to the point where they're doing those things? That's my question.
How do you get to that level?
Yeah, how do you get to the level to where you're saying these actions that they're doing
Or
are
all L'Shem Shamayim?
all L'Shem Shamayim? How can you be a king in a castle with 100 wives?
And how can you be L'Shem Shamayim and humble?
Yeah, and where's the proof that that's the case? Chaz v'chala, I'm not trying to say something bad, but like, how
I
do
don't
you know that?
I'm saying Meforash it says. I'm saying Meforash. And in the Gemara it says. That these tzaddikim were mama. If it's telling you in the Gemara that if anybody who says David HaMelech sinned is himself mistaken, it's obviously telling you here that nobody understands the sin of David. I'm saying quote unquote sin because it's not a sin.
Nachon, but also
For him, it's like a sin.
Also, these people also they're talking about their king, so it's a little different. It's coming over maybe more
but
like a.
It's either you believe the Emet or it's either the Gemara or it's either the Gemara the Emet.
No, not Emet or Sheker. Okay, fine. He's a very 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 righteous person, but he's also a human being. He's also a king.
Human being at that level is not mistaken on the physical plane. I'll tell you.
But is he mistaken? Meaning.
There's a mistake at a spiritual level. In the Shamayim, where you have to sweeten certain things, because you see in Shamayim, there's a Gzera where the Gvura is outweighing the Chesed. So they're going to try to tilt the scale. And they mistaken a little bit. It's like crazy to say. It's like...
So there's a specific reason why, let's say Shlomo Melech married his 40th wife.
Why he married the daughter of what do you call it? Why he married... what's her name? I forget. The queen of Egypt or something like that. One of the princesses of Egypt. All this stuff.
Yeah.
I forget where. I forget. What do you call it?
Salome, no?
No, I forget. I forget. Regardless, all that has kavanah behind it. All their actions. We're talking about a level where Rabbi Nachman said that the tzaddik, when he... I'm going to give you an example when he says in Chai Moran. For the tzaddik, being with his wife is more painful than what the child feels at Beit Milah. To put that into perspective, what that means, when the tzaddik has to be with his wife to do the mitzvah of peruvu, to multiply, for him it's painful because he has to descend to such a physical level.
But isn't it the most spiritual level?
You're right, but for him it's going into the physical plane to attain that. It's like, bro,
But that's what he's doing when he's marrying them.
Of course he is. That's the entire thing. But for him, it's a pain. It's not something. He's not receiving a ta'anug like the world receives a ta'anug from this act. He's doing it l'shem shamayim only for the wife to receive the ta'anug. But he's at the level where he's receiving. It's painful for him to descend to a physical level like that. You see the level we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Where Rabbi Nachman says because the tzaddik has consciousness that he has to do it consciously. It's more painful than what the child experiences at the Brit Milah because the child doesn't know what's happening. So imagine, the tzaddik has to do something which for him is difficult. And yet for the rest of the world it seems like a physical pleasure. That's to come to show you that we do not understand the tzaddik. That's actually the entire point of what we're talking about. Perfect discussion, by the way.
Answer my
It's
question.
exactly that. Meaning we have no idea what the tzaddik represents. When it says Yosef HaTzadik was going through this. It's literally like totally a different level.
Yeah.
And it's mind blowing because it comes to show you Rabbi Nachman says that every person can attain this. It just
Nama?
maybe I don't remember the name, so I wouldn't even know even if I might I don't know.
So the reason why he gets praised, let's say Yosef, is just to teach us, like he didn't accomplish anything really for himself because he's already above that.
Yeah.
It's a lesson for us.
Oh, totally.
So he didn't get a reward even for that.
I mean,
he had a test.
he did
For the judgment.
because the judgment level of sweetening the judgment. For him, the physical plane was not doing that. For him, it was going to. By the way, there was an entire argument that Eshet Potiphar saw that she would be with Yosef in the stars, in astrology.
Yeah.
So there was a level for Yosef saying that perhaps there's a nitzot to retrieve with Eshet Potiphar. There's a spark to retrieve from her. You think he was thinking at a physical level, do I do this to Avar or not? It's like, he's like, Yosef HaTzadik doesn't drink an extra drop of soup because he's not hungry. Rabbi Natan was once sitting at an inn, at a motel. He was traveling throughout the country of Ukraine. He was sitting at an inn with one of his friends, and they were having chicken soup. It was a kosher inn, you know. They did chicken soup for the entire hotel like this. He goes downstairs with his friend, and they're in their room. Or whatever. They pick up a soup. They go back to the room. He's eating the soup, and Rabbi Nathan's going like this, putting it down, and the friend's speaking to him, and he's going, putting it down. He's putting it down. The guy is like, "What are you doing? Just drink the thing already. You're leaving. What are you still lifting and putting it down?" Rabbi Nathan said, "I'm not sure whether I need this for my sustenance or whether it's just tava." One spoon.
Yeah.
What we're talking about here is like these people, these tzaddikim, they pray with all their vitality in their life to destroy their desires so that what they can serve Hashem, l'shem shamayim.
So then, if somebody attains the level of Yosef HaTzadik, David HaMelech, all these tzaddikim, then what are they here for?
Yetzirah, a totally different plane. Rabbi Nachman says there's a level of Yetzirah. There's many levels of Yetzirah. The base level of Yetzirah is the damir. What Rabbi Nachman calls damim achorim, the turbidity of the blood, the impurity of the blood, the filthiness of the blood. You know what that is? The desire for women, the desire for for food, the desire for anything that is raw and physical.
Mammon,
Huh?
Mammon?
Mammon is,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say falls into the blood category. It's something different.
What does that
What
mean?
do you mean? People that are
Money.
Oh, money.
People
Exactly.
that are money.
Money and kavod doesn't have to do with the physical body.
Why?
Because you're not ingesting it. You're not taking it in.
Yeah, but people buy. The only thing you do with money is physical.
Money is a vehicle for physicality.
Yeah.
When I'm saying money is at something else, it could be for honor, it could be for something that tavot that aren't dependent on the goof. It might come from the turbidity of the blood, don't get me wrong. But I'm not saying it doesn't have to do with the physical body.
Saying the main tavot is
Our
something.
food and the desire, sexual immorality. Those two desires are stuck to the body. Now, that comes from Dami Achulim, what Rabbi Nachman calls the turbidity of the blood. Rabbi Nachman has many, many lessons. Literally, the entire Likutei Moharan are lessons on how to purify the blood. Lesson 60, there's another lesson of Taluchot Atamim, I forget. Lesson 6, famous lesson. When you stay silent when you're embarrassed, when someone embarrasses you, and you don't get you silent.
Yeah.
You're able to repair the blood of the left ventricle of the heart, which is what? The nefesh habehemi, the animal soul, which is where all the tavot come from, for food, for money, for women, for this, all that stuff. So when you stay silent, when you're embarrassed, you filter your blood. The blood of the liver is all that blood, okay? Then, once you're past that, Rabbi Nachman says, when you defeat all the ta'avot of damim achorim, some tzaddikim are at such a level where they destroy their physical desires, they get a new Yetzirah. And you know what the Yetzirah is? It's called the Malach Kadosh, a holy angel. Why a holy angel? For it's now no longer has to do with the physical plane anymore.
It's not good and bad. It's good and better.
It's like, yes, actually it's a very good way of saying it. It's a very good way of saying it. A lot of the time the tzaddikim have to know, do I do this act of righteousness or that act? Which one's going to be more honoring for Hashem? Or a lot of the times, okay, like, it's so difficult to explain. Rabbi Nachman was once served a dilemma. Towards the end of his life, he had this problem. He told Rabbi Natan, he said, do I put all my life towards fixing the alive, fixing those people who are alive, or do I put all my force into fixing dead neshamot? And Rabbi Natan was battling with that question for days and days and days and weeks, until Rabbi Nachman said before he passed away, Ani rotze li'ishayer benechem. I want to dwell amongst you. Meaning what? Here. I'm going to fix those who are alive, and not only that, when I die, I'm going to fix those who are dead. But while he was alive, Rabbi Nachman said, I'm going to take all those who are alive and fix them to the best of my ability. Rabbi Nachman said, I have a desire to go away to the forest. Take my wife and kids, and lose my fame from the world. He said, even whatever little fame I have while he was still alive, he said, I don't even want it. I want to go to the forest and leave. But he says, the only thing that's keeping me here is you. So you see the sweetening of judgment we're talking about here? That's Malach Kadosh. Even higher, it's like, what are we talking about? Where is Hashem's Ratzon there? So for certain tzaddikim, how to do something maybe. Or, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But these tzaddikim boim are not even afraid of a sin. Meaning they're going to be presented with something. They're not even going to be afraid that they're going to commit the sin. Yosef it says in the Zohar that he became mamash tzaddik through that act. Maybe it's possible that he became tzaddik gamur through that act because there was still for him there was a doubt somewhere. Not on the level of the physical plane, on the spiritual plane. I think there was a doubt somewhere. And for that reason, through that act, he mamash manifested his tzidkut, his righteousness. He became an ultimate level tzaddik. But Rabbi Nachman says that the tzaddik gamur is not even afraid of the sin. This is why it says in the Gemara that Rasha borei tzaddik mimenu, the Rasha swallowed a tzaddik bigger than him. And the Gemara explains, tzaddik, אבל לא tzaddik gamur. Tzaddik, the Rasha will swallow a tzaddik, but not a tzaddik gamur. Complete tzaddik. Meaning a person who's so removed from evil, he's so sur mera, he's so removed from evil, not even a question, there's no doubt. Rabbi Nachman said, I'm the literal definition of sur mera. You know what I mean? I'm the literal definition of removed from evil. It's crazy to say. There is no tuma. It's completely kadosh. And Rabbi Nachman saying, this is, by the way, it's possible for any Jew to attain this. That's the beauty of it.
How? If a Jew's sinning his whole life, even if he does tshuva, how could you reach that plane? It's a whole different level.
This book.
Yeah, but
you know what that is, bro? It's your sophistication getting in the way and telling you can't become a tzaddik.
No, because I know we also talked about last time how there's a certain tshuva that changes the past.
Like, of course, yeah, that turns your sins into merits, of course. Tshuva me'ava. The Torah of Azamra of Rabbi Nachman, finding the good points, that Torah in itself turns sins into merits. That is the entire Torah of turning sins into merits. Finding the good within myself, finding the good within other Jews. That in itself turns aberot into zechuyot. Zedonot. The Gemara says zedonot. You know what zedonot means? Intentional sins. I'm going to go do an aberah and do it intentionally. It turns that into a mitzvah. Yeah. Oh, what does teshuvah me'ahava mean? I don't know. So Rabbi Nachman comes and says, Nekudot tovot, dance, clap. Rabbi Nachman told his student, Rabbi Moshe ben Savar, he said, you never want to see the face of Gehenam? I advise you to do this. Dance for 15 minutes a day. And this is teshuvah me'ahava. That is true teshuvah, he says. Dance for 15 minutes a day. Go to your room, lock your room. Forget the world for a second. You're going to hear screams across the hallway. What's the sound? I don't care. You lock the door and you start playing your music. You play your trance, Rabbi Nachman, Bressa mix, your Chabad mix, your this, your that, and you start dancing. If we did that, by the way, for 2 minutes a day, you'd see how your entire day has changed. Alright. I'm telling you, the biggest yitzhara around dancing.
We need to combine this with the Hitbodedut.
Yeah, of course.
It's a very important part.
Hitbodedut is the fundamental of all the Torah. It's an hour a day you speak to Hashem. Of course, every person, as much as he can do. Rabbi Nachman said sha'a.
How do you choose between, because I also have this dilemma sometimes, how do I choose between having, let's say, more time for Hitbodedut or doing actual Torah?
Limud Torah?
Okay. For example, like, you're in a long car drive. You're an hour car drive. You can do an hour, Hitbodedut. Or I can put on a Shiur Torah. Which one do you do?
You want me to tell you what's higher?
Yeah.
An hour Hitbodedut.
I know, but then it gets to the point where when am I gonna learn the Torah if every time I have
Make the time. Rabbi Nachman says when you're at work, you have to chotef the Torah. You have to kidnap the Torah. Literally, he says it. You know when it says the first question they bring the Gemara, it says the first question, one of the first questions you're going to be asked when you go to Shemayim, Kavata itim la Torah? Did you set times for Torah? Rabbi Nachman says Kavata comes from the word kovea. Kovea means to rob. Rabbi Nachman saying the kavanah of the question is that really there's no real time when you're working to study Torah. But what? What's Hashem asking you? Kavata itim la Torah. Did you steal time from your work to study? How much did you steal it?
Nachon, but now I found time, I'm gonna make sure that this time.
Yeah.
When I get to that time, I can say, well, I'll just do Hitbodedut. I'll never learn Torah, I'll just do Hitbodedut.
Hitbodedut is the fundamental.
If you do Yitzbodet every day, you're obviously going to be learning Torah. So
Totally.
There's no way you do Yitzbodet and you don't have an arousal to learn Torah.
No, but I'm giving an
Absolutely.
example of, let's say,
You're
like the tzaddikim of the past, before even the Torah was given. Like, I want to like, they were in the field all day. They're supposed to do it all day.
Yeah.
So, you could also argue and say that every second I have available, or whatever, I'm going to just do it.
If you're at that level, you should, by the way. Because I'll tell you what. It's in Gemara Brachot. הלוואי שיתפלל אדם כל היום כולו, or something like this, I forget. If only the person were to spend his entire day in prayer, it says in Gemara Brachot. Meaning what? The avodah of tefillah is the highest avodah that exists. By the way, higher than Limud Torah. There's Rabbi Natan explains what that means. There's levels where your tefillah can be lower than Torah. Why? Because sometimes you can pray for gashmiut things. When you're praying at a physical plane, for things like a coat, you want a coat or you want a new car, that's lower than the Torah. But Rabbi Nachman says, if you pray for Avodat Hashem, Hashem, I want to wake up Chatzot. Hashem Yitbarach, I yearn to serve you be'emet. When you pray like this, that you are asking, your entire tefillah is founded around the Kavanah, that you're asking Hashem to help you draw close to His service, that tefillah is higher than any Torah. So Rabbi Nachman says, the highest level that exists, התבודדות הוא מעלה עליונה וגדולה מן הכל. Rabbeinu teaches us. התבודדות is a level, מעלה עליונה, it's a spiritual level, עליונה that is very high, וגדולה מן הכל, it's above everything. Put everything on the map. Torah, this, that. Tefillah is the highest level. If you have the level to pray all day, achi, why? Like Rabbi Moshe Breslover, the guy was in the forest, he used to leave his house for 6 days a week, come back on Shabbat. You used to go to the forest, bring a book. You used to bring a Likutei Moran, a Gemara, a Shulchan Aruch, do whatever you need to do. Literally go to the forest, earn his parnasah from the trees, and pray all day. Because Hitbodedut is mamash dvekut to Hashem Yitbarach. You receive your Torah through your tefillah. I'll give you a story to prove it. The Vilna Gaon was a massive Talmid Chacham, right? A huge Talmid Chacham, a Gaon in Torah. They say he knew the Gemara like a nasty number, bro. Like he knew the Gemara called at the age of 6 or something. It's crazy what I'm telling you. It's like when you hear that, you're like, okay, what are we talking about here? By heart. Or like it was 13 or I forget what do you know. A person came to the Vilna Gaon with a question that the Vilna Gaon took him a week to find the answer. You know where he found it? He found it in a Yerushalmi, in a Tosfot or something like this. I remember hearing the story. I forget where though, the source. He found it in a Gemara Yerushalmi, in a Tosfot that is hidden, or in a commentary that is hidden in the back, somewhere very strange in the book, okay? It took him a week to find it. The man had a question. It wasn't even a direct answer. He needs to find the source of this concept that would give him the answer to that question. The man, while he was waiting, said, I need a response. You know where he went to? Went to Rab Zusha Me'anipoli. You know what Rab Zusha is? The brother of the Noam Elimelech. Rabbi Elimelech Mnizhensk. Two of the biggest Hasidim in the Magid HaMezrich. Noam Elimelech, one of the... Rabbi Nachman spoke about very few tzaddikim at a very high level. Said the Noam Elimelech, his book does not even show you where he stands. Noam Elimelech. Tzaddik, you cannot... Rab Zusha was a tzaddik who literally used to publicly embarrass himself to just serve Hashem. On purpose. He used to publicly embarrass himself to remove all honor.
Wow.
He used to go to the shul, and like imagine, like, I'm talking about war stuff like this. He used to go to the shul, and when it was not Rosh Chodesh, he used to do Rosh Chodesh. And all the Gabbas used to be like, no, what are you doing? Bro, you're talking about in the Mitnagdim shuls. He used to go to the city Mitnagdim. He used to go to the places in which the Mitnagdim, they were against the Hasidim. He used to go there and act like a Hasid and this and that. The people used to kick him out. He used to walk around with holes in his clothes, like bitul gamur, complete bitul. Literally would break his body. The same thing, Noam Elimelech did the same thing for many years. He used to break their body just to remove their kavod, just to give all the kavod to Hashem.
Wow.
Bro, the level we're talking about here is, it's not even talk about it, it's an embarrassment to talk about. He came to Rav Zusha. Rav Zusha didn't study that much. Rav Zusha was a man, he was a tzaddik. But his level of chokhmah wasn't as big as he studied but a lot, but he didn't study as much as the Vilna Gaon. So for him to know that Gemara is impossible. But when he came to Rab Zusha, you know what Rab Zusha responded to? The same exact response of the Vilna Gaon. The Vilna Gaon, he came back to the Vilna Gaon, this man who had the question, he said, Rab Zusha gave me the same response. He said, Rab Zusha knows that answer? No way he knows that answer. It took me a week to find it. So when the man came back to Rab Zusha and asked him, how did you know it? He said, I don't know that Gemara. I don't even know what you're talking about. I know the shoresh. I know the source of where the Gemara comes from. Meaning what? The Torah is a source. I'm going directly to the source to retrieve the answer. I know where it comes from, the shoresh of it. Meaning, we're trying to get to the shoresh. We're studying the Torah, but the Torah is one level. But why do we study the Torah? What's the depth behind the Torah? Where is it really coming from? So when Rabbi Nachman brings a lesson on Likutei Moharan, we think he's bringing a lesson pshat level, pshitut, you know what I mean, bringing it to us. Rabbi Nachman said, I perceive it at thousands and tens of thousands of levels higher than the way I'm writing it.
Does it say what the question is?
The story, yes, I forgot.
Yeah.
It.
I wanted to know if this says.
I forgot it. It's a crazy Gemara, by the way. Like in Yerushalmi, like crazy random Gemara, like in the side of the page. Nobody would ever find it. Like took him a week to find it.
Wow.
But Rab Zusha didn't study that much Torah, but his tefillah brought him to the shoresh of the answer. Sometimes you don't even need the Torah. I mean, it's crazy to say. The Torah, of course, is a show. It's going to bring you to all those answers. That's why we need it.
It's proof. Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, they didn't have the Torah.
Exactly, but they knew all the shoresh. Rabbi Nachman said, if you were to sell me to an Arab person, an Arab owner, and I would be a slave tending cattle, and I didn't know when Shabbat was there, I didn't have tefillin or talit, said like this, I would be able to still fulfill all 613 mitzvot. For I know the shoresh of every mitzvah in the Torah. Meaning there's a level of the mitzvah in the Torah, the Gemara, right? But the shoresh of where it comes from. Meaning, how do you do tefillin without your tefillin now?
Yeah, because it's like a kli. So if you figure out how to do it.
Exactly. But it requires a level of understanding the entire Torah to get to that place where you're saying, wow, even if I was sold to a person where I did not even know when Shabbat was, I can still do Shabbat. Because I know what the shoresh of Shabbat is. This entire book, by the way, is the shoresh of everything. Rabbi Nachman is bringing you to the shoresh of what Shabbat is. The shoresh of emunah. The shoresh of everything.
You can think about it in like a practical way. Like, when you say this, I think practical, like working out your muscle. You take away all the weights and everything, I know what it requires to build muscle, and I can figure out a different way to get it done.
Totally. Do the way you eat, or this or that.
Yeah.
It's deep. If you know the way it works, the way the body works, then you know how each thing works.
The same thing with the Torah.
It's a good way of explaining it. It's a very good way of explaining it. So we see here Rabbi Nachman one time had to pay a certain guard in the Shamayim of the Yeshiva Shemana. A certain guard, I forget how many gold coins, 100 gold coins to receive a Torah, to receive a teaching. When he paid that fee up there, he received the Torah, and that's what he gave on one of the holidays. One of the lessons in Likutei Moharan is a lesson he gave by paying 100 gold coins to a guard in the Yeshiva Shemana. To a guard of the supernal yeshiva in the Shamayim.
Wow.
Because what Rabbi Nachman is doing is he's going to the shoresh. Everything's about shoresh. Rabbi Nachman knew the entire Torah Shabbat, but you see the book is filled from beginning to end with sources that it would be impossible to bring everything together into one thing. But he's going to the shoresh. And from the shoresh, he's bringing everything.
You know which lesson that is that he paid the...
I think it's lesson 20, if I'm not mistaken.
What's it about?
It speaks about the beard, the 9 rectifications of the beard. It's deep. It could be something else. I forget.
Okay.
But everything is about shoresh. Meaning, Rabbi Nachman, one time a person came to him, and that's gonna answer your initial question of tefillah or Torah. He came to him and he said, Rebbe, I want to be a tzaddik, but I don't know what to do. What's the one thing you can tell me to do? You know, Rabbeinu responded to me, study Torah. You know what the man responded back? But I don't know how to study. Rabbeinu could have said, start studying, but he said something different. Rabbeinu said, pray. For through tefillah you can attain kol tuv. Through tefillah you can attain everything. Meaning through tefillah you can attain Torah too.
But you're talking about a whole another level of tefillah.
But he was telling this person at a simple level. The man couldn't study. He's talking to me and you right now.
Yeah.
Even maybe below us. Maybe. Maybe. I'm not saying. The guy's probably, I don't know, tzaddik. But I'm saying, the guy can't study. He was telling Rabbi Nachman, I cannot study. Rabbi Nachman tells him,
Why did he start with study?
huh?
Why did he start with study? Do we know? Prayers,
It's a good point. That's a good question. Maybe he saw that the man couldn't study. So he was coming to prove the point that the tefillah is really where you I don't know. I'm saying, Rabbeinu has this Ruach HaKodesh, of course.
Yeah.
You could, Rabbeinu said, the second a person presents himself before me, I know all his sins and all his past. From head to toe, I know all his records.
I'm sure if you told him go pray, he would say, well, why don't you tell me to study?
But what's the point? The point of the conversation is that everybody can pray. Not everybody can be a Talmid Chacham, but everybody can pray. The stupidest person in the world can go and lock himself in a room and speak to God. And that could be the highest tefillah that exists in the generation, I'm telling you. Why does Rabbi Nachman emphasize advice that seems so simple? Be happy. Because those are the shoresh of everything. He's going to the shoresh saying, do that and follow my advice, because what I'm telling you is you're going to repair everything under it also. When you do Hitbodedut, you repair your relationship with your father, your mother, your parents, your friends, your this, your that. Everything is repaired through your relationship with Hashem. Hitbodedut is the ultimate relationship with Hashem. So Rabbi Nachman is saying, let's go to the shoresh of relationships. Hitbodedut. And through Hitbodedut, you're going to repair everything below it. I'm going on a rant right now, but you guys get the idea.
Yeah.
Meaning, the tzaddik, when he brings a piece of advice, Rabbi Nachman said, when I'm giving you guys a Torah, I'm giving it to the malachim and shamayim too. He's saying the malachim are receiving a completely different lesson from my words right now. For he says, every word that I say in public, many, many worlds are dependent on every word. That
So
shows us
crazy.
the koach of us, bro. When we say a word in tefillah, Rabbi Nachman says, when you say, Rabbi Nachman says in Nikutei Moharan, Hallelujah, hallelujah, he says, hallelujah, I keep forgetting this hallelujah.
Which one? The one at the end?
The middle one.
Hallelujah.
That's the last one.
No.
That's a very high one, he says.
Yeah, I know this one is very...
Halu b'amorim, halu kol melacha, halu kol tzavav, halu shemesh v'yareach, halu kol koveo. Hashem, right? All the stars should praise you. Shemei Hashem, the heavens of the heavens.
Also the water.
Yeah, I don't know how it's something like that. You see the entire idea. Kol malacha, you know what I mean? All his angels. Rabbi Nachman says, when you're saying that, you are summoning all these entities to praise Hashem from your words. So Rabbi Nachman says it's fitting to be b'kavanah when you say this hallelujah, because what? Now you're telling everyone else to serve Hashem. It's on your words that it's dependent. Suns and the star, you know what I mean? The sun and the moon. Now the sun and the moon is going to praise Hashem because you said for it to praise Hashem. Meaning our words have so much koach. If we really understood, we would keep our mouth silent half the time. And whenever we wouldn't keep it silent, we'd be saying nice things, judging people positively, and praying all day and studying Torah. So there's all this koach, let's say, within a Jew, that Rabbi Nachman says, you, me, everyone here can become a tzaddik gamur. Tzaddik gamur. Rabbi Nachman said, I want you guys to become kamoni mamash, literally like me. Literally like me. Rabbi Nachman says, my students can become not anashim ksherim, but he says that would be an embarrassment to me. I don't want my students to be anashim ksherim, upright people. He says I want them to become tzaddikim boim. For how could I have sacrificed my entire life if my students only become upright people? Upright people is already a high thing, to become an upright person. I mean, I want you to become a tzaddik gamur. לא אנשים כשרים בלבד, אלא צדיקים גמורים. Not just אנשים כשרים, but צדיקים גמורים.
How many tzaddikim gurim are there today?
You
You could argue that there's not almost nothing.
You would be surprised. You're right. There isn't that many. You're right. But you'd be surprised how many, first off, upright people there are, how many tzaddikim there are,
Upright people I can imagine. Tzaddikim I can also imagine. Tzaddikim
Tzaddikim
Gemurim that we're talking about now.
Yeah, it's a very thing. But when Rabbi Nachman says that, he means it.
Yeah.
Meaning, okay, I can probably assure you that there are probably tzaddikim Gemurim that I've seen in Uman that I don't even recognize because they're so bitul. They're just.
They don't look like it, basically.
They don't look like it. They literally look like a peasant. Literally, I'm telling you, they look like a peasant that you could find at Walmart. I'm telling you, it's a crazy thing. They're walking around in Uman like it's like nothing, bro. I see this guy with a hunchback every single time. I'm shocked by the bitur. The guy's just like walking and he's just like happy all the time. The guy's a simple guy, barely any clothing. It's the craziest thing, and he's just serving Hashem all day. You see him walking, just speaking to Hashem. Nobody's there.
It's so crazy. Wow.
I'm telling you, every time I go to Uman, I see the same guy. There's hundreds of people like this. Hundreds of people. There's a guy on the tune all the time that just has his Gemara open and his Likutei Moharan open and just literally just sitting with a stool on the tune and his bima right next to the tune with his hand on the tune and studying his Gemara like this all the time. There's a guy in the tune, oi, hours. And it's like, bro, it's like you're gonna get an aneurysm when you're there. But it's like you desire so much the Ratzon because they show you what Rabbeinu really wants from his students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rabbeinu was not saying, get rid of your clothing and your riches. Nah.
Yeah, but
You serve Hashem with what you have. That's what he's saying.
but the more you remove the honor and this and that, the more you're like you're saying. Look at the people who you think are maybe the tzaddikim gemurim. Who are those people? It's the people that are the most simple.
You're right. But
How can somebody have such a sophisticated life in Los Angeles and have 3 businesses and this and he's a tzaddik gemur?
That's it. Because those people are going to use whatever their money they have. Not for themselves. They're going to honor their wives. They're going to honor their kids. And yet, you know what? Complete bitul. Tzedakah that nobody even knows. Anonymous tzedakah. They don't drive a very big car. They drive a Toyota, a Prius, and this and that. They drive a small, a Tesla, this, that.
Yeah.
They're so sincere in the way they act. It's like, you know what I mean? Everything is not for them anymore. It's for Hashem. You can become a tzaddik.
That's
with
the
your
level
business.
where you don't feel sin.
But even you,
for sin, or is that a different?
It's when tzaddik gamur is
Gamor seems that
tzaddik
way.
gamur is the level where you have no tava for sin. It's like nothing.
Right.
And there's people like that. Very few.
but it's also tricky because even if let's say you're saying there's a guy in the Pico community that's a tzaddik gamur. I'm sure him or his friend or his wife or somebody is going to try and derive something that's not from the tzaddik gamur. For example, somebody can try and let's say become a tzaddik gamur, but he's in a community where people around him are not like that. Then wow.
Right. No, that's the entire point.
Yeah, but let's say your wife. I become a tzaddik gamur, whatever. Theoretically speaking, tomorrow.
Yeah.
My wife's gonna say, "What the hell's wrong with you?"
You're gonna accept. By the way, you're gonna accept it the way it is, and you're gonna say, "Yes, my wife," and you're still gonna be the tzaddik gamur you still are. It's crazy to say. The world around you is going to be chaos.
Yeah.
And you're still the tzaddik gamur that you are. Saying already to be a level of tzaddik, Rabbi Nachman quotes from the Torah. Manu tzaddik man denater brit. Who's the tzaddik? One who conquers the brit. The physical level of a tzaddik is one who destroys the sexual desire. That's the base thing every man has to strive for. The base. And to pray. Put all your force in this. For this tava is...
It's something very...
Yeah, it's very difficult. It's the main test you come to this way for. So if you break that...
We say that it's the tava for Avodah Zarah from before
exactly.
before times, and now it's with
this.
the woman. Yeah.
Exactly. Sorry. Then when you start destroying your desire for money, you're gonna start tapping into levels of tzaddik gamur. Saying it's like break one desire at a time. Start with one. Don't. Rabbi Nachman, he was focused on breaking the tava for the brit as a child. He was the youngest. Rabbi Nachman said, I can say that of all the tzaddikim, I'm the youngest in history to break this tava completely. Break it. Tava for you. He was breaking the desire as a child. All his desires went to the other ones.
You don't have desires as a child. for sexual things. At least.
He was praying for it, let's say, before even arose. And when he was 13, he got married and he broke it completely then. Okay, it's like, it's there, you're going to break it before it even starts, before it even creeps. You know what the level was for Rabbi Nachman? One time, I'll end with this. Rabbi Nachman was once traveling through Uman as a child with his mother. They were staying at a certain motel, a certain inn. And the mother slept on a certain bed, and Rabbi Nachman and the child, he was like 5, 6. We slept on another bed. And when they woke up, the mom asked him, how did you sleep? He said, not good. She said, why? He said, I can see that there were immodest women that slept on this bed.
Oh, yeah.
For Rabbeinu, he already was destroying the desire at a spiritual plane at that point.
Yeah.
Sweetening of judgment is what we're talking about. For him, it's like, yeah, he's not even, okay, he's still a child, he doesn't feel the desire, but
He knows it exists.
He knows that the Yetzer Hara is there.
Yeah.
That's where the Yetzer Hara's main force is. And by the way, when he became 13, he got married immediately, right after his wedding. Got married immediately. And he said by the age of 20, his Yetzer Hara was Malach Kadosh. By the age of 20. He said by the age of 13, he destroyed the sexual desire. 13. But by the age of 20, his Yetzer Hara was Malach Kadosh. You know what that means? By the age of 20, Rabbi Nachman was only engaging.
20 is a big thing in Judaism, no?
Yeah. By the age of 20, he was engaging in only in sweetening judgments.
It's a whole different concept in the level.
I'm saying that's a new Yetzer Hara.
Yeah.
So imagine, we think the Yetzer Hara is gone when we break this out. No, it comes through a different thing.
Yeah.
Your wife comes at you from left field, throws you a pie at your face. How are you going to react? You know?
Taste
Taste.
good.
You want a piece. I'm saying all that stuff when you go and engage with the world, another
It's
person
tough.
embarrasses you.
It's easy to be a tzaddik in your house and the door's locked. It's hard to...
In the real world, yeah. And we should have the merit to do so. I'm going to put the thing here. That way, God willing, we continue. Right here. I'm going to put it right here. But we barely even started.
That's how it is when we...
It's good. That's what Rabbi Nachman wants. Sichat Alev. Can you...
Yeah.